Hi, Julie.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, nice to
Hi.
see you again.
Hey, buenos dias, Julie.
Buenos dias.
How are you doing there in Colorado? It's I hear it's pretty cold there right now.
It's windy and cold. It was 62 yesterday and it's about 32 probably today. So yeah.
Windy. but no snow, right? The snow is melted.
Not here in Colorado Springs, but I heard it just started snowing up in Denver, and I think it's snowing in the mountains. I know it's coming down heavily, like Wolf Creek area, and which is southern Colorado. Those of you who don't know Colorado,
Yeah.
and I don't know where else it's supposed to snow today, but we have like I think they're supposed to be like 80-mile-an-hour winds today.
Oh,
So,
that's crazy.
yeah.
I'm where I'm usually at is in southern Colorado, and my wife is there. She's going to be joining me here in the islands next week. But there's, they just got they just canceled all school for today. I got a note this morning that all school was canceled, and so it's evidently they're getting hit pretty hard right now. So
yeah, it's pretty bad. The wind, I'm sure they canceled school because of the wind. I have no doubt. They closed Monarch, which just opened finally. They closed yesterday preemptively because of the wind that was supposed to come in today. So it's just crazy
I know
weather.
That those ski areas, they don't like it when the chairs start swinging into the poles. That
I don't like
scares
that
everybody.
either. I don't like that either. I don't like that.
I don't think that anybody would be really happy to be up there for more than a run or two anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if Wolf Creek also probably closed today. But yeah, it's finally snowing in Colorado, which is great. We've been without it until now. We haven't had any snow.
I think it was a record, right? Like without snow for a while, Julie.
April to December, no measurable snowfall.
Right. So I fly home tomorrow. Hi, Sumit.
Hi, Julie.
I fly home. Hi. I fly home tomorrow.
Hi, Jules. Hi, Sam.
I fly home tomorrow from Puerto Vallarta from Sumit. I fly home from Sumit. No, Puerto Vallarta to Denver tomorrow, Julie. And so I am like wearing clothes like this, and then I'm going to have to figure out how to change so I can survive.
Gary said that you were going to be up there staying with him for a little while. So
a week or so.
He's excited. Sumit, look at your beard, and my goodness, I don't think I've seen it so full.
I'm just trying to protect myself against the winter.
Yeah, that's right. Winter in India.
Yeah, it's a freezing 59 degrees.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I feel so bad.
Hello, Howard.
Hi there.
Yeah, welcome.
Hi, Howard.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you.
Hi, Howard.
Hi.
Yeah, it's going to be a great call. So we're talking about today, and so nice to have Julie on. She's going to be talking about getting unstuck in 2022, and so we're currently broadcasting, and we're just going to wait for everybody to join, and we'll get started at the top of the hour. So, but we were just talking about the crazy snow in Colorado, Howard. And where I live in Colorado, they just closed all the schools down, and Julie is saying that the wind is crazy. So
you must be very happy to be away from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm missing all that, fortunately. But it is a kind of a scary time, and Colorado is known to have or be the place in the United States with the most avalanches across the nation. So there's more avalanches there than anywhere else. So when there's heavy winds like this and snow at the same time, it causes extreme avalanche conditions because they have these big cornices that overhang over mountains. They can break off.
You know what, Sam? It's also the most places for lightning, they say.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
And obviously both you and Julie understand this, but the mountain lightning is constantly, so it's kind of a treacherous place around here.
Yeah, I think anywhere in the planet right now, it's getting more treacherous.
I agree.
What was that? The tornadoes. I mean, it's so sad to hear about.
It's horrible.
The tragedy.
Mm.
Who would think there's going to be all that cluster of tornadoes in December to
Yeah.
hit? It's just really tragic. I
Yeah,
mean, the
yeah.
town in Kentucky was just leveled. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing left.
hmm
And on top of it all, we have this new variant. They
Oh,
just
yeah.
closed. They just closed down. I heard this morning on the news, Cornell University, because
Oh.
of a
Really?
huge outbreak among the student population.
Wow.
So back to remote.
That's
They probably
Well-
are they closing it down for the semester for next semester?
Yes, they
Oh.
said finals will be online.
Oh dear goodness. If
Yeah.
my son gets shut down and has to be home for second semester of college, I might move. I might go to
Yeah.
Mexico with Shar for the whole semester.
yeah. And yeah, Julie, come down and hang out with me.
Yeah.
Julie and I are cousins, and our sons. My son loves the whole remote aspect, and he loves sitting at his computer. He loves doing all this animation and various things.
Mm.
So he thrives in that environment. But Julie, your son is more of a social kind of kid.
If they went remote, we wouldn't even put him in school next semester. We'd have him get a job. There's
Right.
Yeah.
no way. Yeah,
Well,
there's no way.
Yeah, that is a truly terrible thing. A lot of kids are getting behind. I mean,
Right.
not in just regular school, but in college. I know my kids. I mean, they don't want to do college unless they can have the full college experience with,
Yeah.
their peers and so forth. And my son tried online college this last semester and didn't do so hot. So
Mm.
he's
Is
I
he
think
the
that-
same age as my son, Sam? I can't remember. Is he just a freshman?
yeah he is.
Okay, so they're the same age.
Mhm.
hmm
Yeah, it is just it's tough for those. I mean, it's true. I think it's true to say that in preparing for the future, we need to know how to be agile in an online world. And our
Right.
kids are part of that. So it's a skill set that they need to develop. But right now, people are just scrambling to try to figure it out. And I think.
Well, and I think with kids, they're so used to the social aspect of being online that
Mhm.
I don't think they can shut down and separate a lot of times. Kids like my kid.
Mhm.
And really, I mean, he will never shut down his social side of his online presence in order to just focus for even an hour or two on whatever is happening at school. So
Yeah, well,
it's
I
hard.
guess we have to think about what they're used to doing. It's like, a lot of kids are online right now and they're playing like Call of Duty or something like that. And they're going like this. And
Call of Duty.
their adrenaline is just pumping and they're talking to their buddies and stuff like this. And then of course, then they have to shift and look at a bunch of talking heads. And then
Yeah.
I'm sure that they're nodding off half the time.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I
yeah.
have to tell you, I struggle too, just on a personal level, I mean, I'm a very social being as well, and I'm used to like working with a lot of people and going to meetings and various, interactions with my leaders, and just the change of just doing all these Zoom calls. I mean, I think, Julie, you talk about Zoom fatigue or something like that,
Yeah,
right? You
I
talk
had
about
we talked
fatigue.
about that last year. Mhm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And it's definitely absolutely an issue in our society overall. So how do you cope? How do you cope with that psychologically, mentally? How do you be productive?
Right. And
So-
I think that people run, I attended I was on the sales team for an event, a 3-day event in November. And she did 3 full on days. And it was like, never again. There was no, there weren't enough breaks, and there wasn't enough breaking up of, ooh, we just had a little power surge. Hopefully that doesn't affect us, you guys.
No, it's fine.
That it's just, I think we can talk about this today in this whole thing of being stuck, where people aren't adjusting for for that fatigue, and
Yeah.
it's causing people to not be able to be focused at all for that long. I just had one of my clients actually yesterday. She's a shoe rep,
hmm
and she was in a 7-hour Zoom
Oh, boy.
sales meeting. I'm like,
That's just
What?
That's just
That's
cruel.
it's ludicrous. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck are you talking about? I mean, it's one thing if you're live and in person for 7 hours at a sales meeting, which she just went to one in St. Louis last week for another company that she reps. But she took a picture of her Zoom and sent it to me. She goes, what is this about? And I'm like, does that say 7 hours and 42 minutes? And she goes, yes. I'm like, oh, I can't even understand what they would be talking about in that time.
I love Game of Thrones, but I don't think I could watch it for 7 hours.
For 7 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be slouching in my chair and my mascara would be
Yeah.
running all over my face.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt this great conversation, but we gotta get started. It's at the top of the hour, and so we have all our lovely people joining as listeners and so forth. And so let's go ahead and get things kicked off here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And Jules, you are on point.
I'm here, I'm ready. I'm back with good Wi-Fi, everyone. So hopefully I won't be choppy like maybe last week. But welcome, everyone. If you are joining us, as you can see, we have an awesome lineup. We have all our hosts. We have an awesome guest for you today. We are talking about getting unstuck here at the People Strategies Forum. And if you don't know what the People Strategies Forum is, maybe it's your first time, we want to welcome you, of course, and let you know what it's all about. So if you look at the screen, it's really a mastermind of leaders. We get together each and every week, and it's really dedicated to just creating workplaces where people thrive, where employers reward, and customers love. And that's why we do this every week. We bring a guest speaker. We have an awesome panel of hosts. And we also really encourage you to drop your questions. So if you have any questions in the chat, please put them there, because then I will definitely get those to our speaker. And my name is Jules. I will be introducing our speaker shortly. But before I do that, I want to introduce all our other fabulous hosts today. As you can see, we have a lot of people, so it's going to be a great discussion. And we really like to keep it conversational. So again, help us do that by dropping your questions. And even if you are coming to us from a different platform, maybe Facebook or somewhere else, just put those questions in anyway, because I know Sam will get those questions answered for you at the very end. So first up, we have Shah, who has, she started off as an HR professional in the corporate world, and then decided, you know what, I'm going to branch out, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And she is currently the founder and CEO of Rocky Mountain Health Advocates. And we love having her here. She always brings her expertise from her own real life day-to-day running a business. We also have
Right. Well, I just want to say, I think I need to update that picture. That was at Red Rocks in Colorado. But yeah, I call it HR from the inside out and HR with the heart. It's something a little bit different in this day and world. But thanks, Jules.
not robotic. We love that. You got personality. And then we have Sumit joining us. Now, while he's an HR professional as well, talent management expert, and he is based in India, but he has worked with companies across the world. So he always shares a really interesting international perspective for us. And we also have Howard joining us from Comp Team. He is a compensation expert, and he's implemented compensation programs for various companies in industries like the finance industry, the technology industry, and much more. So good to have you hopping on here today, Howard, as well.
Thank you.
And then lastly, we have Sam, who is the creator of the People Strategies Forum. So he's the reason we're here every week together. And he is the founder and CEO of Comp Team. He has a great team of experts, and he's a compensation expert. So he transforms companies. He goes in there, he helps them with their talent management and their compensation programs. So I'm talking a lot today, guys. I've got a lot of introductions. But my final introduction is for our lovely guest speaker, Julie Miller-Davis. So I'm really excited to introduce her, because she has such a colorful background, because she started as a teacher in high schools and colleges, and she has over 20 years of experience as an educator. But eventually she decided to also go ahead and dive into the world of entrepreneurship, and she became a business trainer and coach. So she's now currently working with business owners and entrepreneurs. She helps them get move from stuck into action, which I think many of us need so much help with. She helps with productivity habits, managing your calendar, managing your goals, so that you can go from, just a mediocre business or work life to something really excellent and really brilliant. And also she mentioned while we were rehearsing before we went live, she mentioned she also does free training. So I would love to hear about that at the very end, Julie. We can help all our listeners find where that is, where they can hop on these free trainings, because they sound really interesting. So welcome, Julie. I know you've been here before with us on the forum, and we're very excited to hear your insights and your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Sam, Shar, Sumit, Howard. Thank you for having me back so much.
You bet. Hey, so Julie, I mean, just understand. Tell us a little bit how you got into this profession, because I know you, as Jules was talking about, you used to be a teacher, and then you started helping others in this broader world. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Really, how this business was born 7 years ago was I had another business that I was working, and I was a 1099 for another business, but it was my own. I was an independent contractor and building a really good business of my own under that umbrella, and kept having business owners ask me how I was building what I was building, working the limited hours that I was working. I was literally building my business, working 3 days a week. And then a little bit here and there while my son was in school. It was while he was in elementary school. And I just really started thinking about how much I missed teaching, but I didn't want to go back in the classroom, and that I obviously was running things differently than most people do, with a different way of thinking about how to get the most out of my day and out of my tasks, really, that needed to get done in order to build business. And so that company closed overnight in 2014, and this business was born like 3 months later. So I just, Jules said I built it from scratch. It was really what are the things that I do and that I know, and that the other people out there, experts in calendaring, in time management, although I don't use that term, and in habit foundations, and created a curriculum out of it for entrepreneurs. And so that's how this happened, and it's been a crazy fun ride ever since. And I'm helping entrepreneurs and business owners have the business and the career that they want without sacrificing the life that they want.
It's an important topic for today, because I know there's a lot of our listeners out there that, well, for me in particular too, I mean, this year has just ramped up and is super, super busy towards the end of the year. And I know there's a lot of other HR practitioners that are experiencing the same. I mean, the pace has just accelerated. I think that a lot of professionals and then also consumers they were in wait and see mode for through the pandemic for so long, and then now I think that everybody's taken the grip that, hey, maybe nothing's going to change too quickly in the future. We need to move ahead with our current reality, and I think that they're charging forward towards 2022. Do you see that in some of your clients?
I do. I think that there was a lot of shifting that happened during the pandemic, during 2020, during the first year of the pandemic, and people really thought that it was going to be a finite change, right? That it was going to end. I go back and I watch some videos that I did right before I was with you guys for the first time, and those videos are like, in a couple months when things get back to normal, and then we realized it wasn't going to be, and then we just kind of were trying to ride out the storm of 2020, and then people were like, well, we'll just shift for a little while, and then we'll be back in person, and we'll be back to normal. Well, yes, the issue is that the good thing about entrepreneurs is that they're pretty fluid anyway, because they've had to be, and they've created what they've created. But I think that corporations and business owners, and especially brick and mortar or corporate type offices, they really did not foresee that things were if they aren't coming back fully in person, we're going to be hybrid, and how do we work that? And so it's like, how do we stay fluid? Because it's never going to be how it was. We've had very necessary changes. I think we've actually caught up with what technology was going to allow us to do, right? But we have been slow to have that mindset where we're fully adapting, like this is the new normal, and how long is this the new normal? Because it's still going to evolve and change as long as we are in this world. And the pandemic, I mean, the coronavirus is not going to go away. And we've found that people are really doing well working at home.
Mhm.
But the issue is now the hybrid thing, right?
Mhm.
Right.
So, yeah.
And one thing
I
that
would say, I'm sorry, I would say that businesses are also completely transforming. As a business owner myself, we've actually had to completely change our business model. So it's not all face-to-face, it is more remote, it's more mobile, and that therefore it requires a different talent set. And so I would say from an executive standpoint, the executive leadership has to, like you say, get unstuck on their mind thinking about how do you transform your business strategy. And it's really hard to transform that mindset into what we need to do today in the new normal.
Yeah. That's a really
Yeah.
good point, Shar.
And one other thing that you mentioned, Julie, that I think struck a chord was the embracing of technology. I mean, you're correct. I mean, we've been forced to move forward and embrace technology in this remote world. And I know this is a hot topic that Howard talks about a lot. Is that there are still professionals out there that are reluctant to change their skill set. I mean, in the compensation world, I mean, there's many consultants that are still buried in spreadsheets and are not using those advanced tools to really be more impactful overall and be more strategic. So, yeah, I think that's something that needs to happen in this, and as we prepare for this next year.
Well, and I think too, you know, if they aren't comfortable doing that, Howard, I think you have something to say. It's there's so many people out there that are experts in that it's a delegable, however you want to say the word, thing. You know, they don't have to do that if they don't want to. They just have to be able to have their fingers on it, right?
I think people become very comfortable with things that they're used to and they know, and the fact that there's easier, better ways that presents sort of something new and different is seen almost as a challenge. And it's, do I want to go there, and will it be effective? And even though these things, other methods have proven to be extremely effective and extremely efficient, it's just people have trouble letting go.
It's that old dog new tricks thing, right? And the thing is that these people should not be the old dog. They need to be adaptable in order to survive. And I have a funny little anecdote. Yesterday, Charlene and I are cousins, and I've been up supporting my dad through some things that he's going through, and I could only be there for half the time that he needed me. And so Char's dad is my dad's brother, and so I took my dad down to the city yesterday from the mountains to go to the doctor, and Char's dad met me, and we like handed off my dad. And so both these men in their 70s, it was like, I go, hey, Uncle Gary, I need you to make sure that Dad makes this phone call and does this and this. And he's like, okay. And he goes, when we go out to the car, he goes, let me go get my notepad. And my dad's like, do you have a piece of paper and a pen I can write this down on? I'm like, Dad. And so it's that kind of stuff. You know, my dad's finally got his smartphone, and he goes, I need to write down this phone number that just called me. And I'm like, Dad, if you go to your phone and it says recents, the phone number is like right there. So I'm likening it to that, Howard, you know, where it's really where this old school of thinking, and they just won't step into the power and the ease really of technology.
Well, I get to see my your uncle Gary and my dad this next week, and so he still has a flip phone, I think.
Yes, he does. Still has the flip phone.
And yeah,
At least it's not the brick.
But you know, hey, it's cool. I mean, at least, but the one thing that my dad taught me is you do have to write down things sometimes. You know, write down lists.
Right. I have notebooks. I just don't have like a thing that I, you know, tear off sheet in my car that
Right. Well, remember when sticky notes were really like the big thing? Sticky notes. Oh, that's the whole new invention of the year.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's a good point. I mean, I think that the theme that we're talking about is that we need to be perpetual learners, and that probably frames us up for uh, what we need to do for 2022. But tell us, Julie, how are people getting stuck? I mean, what are the big themes? What brings this on to stop this agility that they need to have for the future?
Yeah, let's get to the meat of it, shall we? I think that here's a really big thing is that if I'm looking at this from a corporate point of view, which we have a lot of corporate people on the People Strategies Forum, is really three things. I'm looking at my notes, three things. And the first is stuck in where we're stuck is in complaint or excuse mode. Right? So we're problem oriented rather than solution oriented. And so we're just, people are, and this isn't just for corporate, like this is something I talk to entrepreneurs about. I mean, everyone, but I feel this one is of the things that I have in my notes, very applicable to all of us on the call, which is you get so focused on, well, we're never going back to how things were, and I don't know how to do this with the virtual, and he did this and she did that, and this is happening and that, and then we have this pandemic and that's causing all the trouble. If we're just doing that, we're playing the blame game, and we're stuck in what I call excuseville for why we can't make it work. Right? And that is a problem. And that is where we're stuck. And one place that we're stuck is we're stuck in problem oriented rather than solution oriented activity. And I'm going to talk later about how do we get to the solution orientation, right?
Right. And so Jules, I think we had Andre mentioned something in the chat, and for anybody that doesn't know Andre, he's a global talent management expert, and so it's great to have him on the forum here. So what did he have to say there?
So he's saying people have been doing what they had to do, not what they are able to. Could they voice their ideas? Has it changed now? I'm not sure what he.
Yeah, so I think that one thing that we need to.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not quite sure, Andre, the question, but I actually love that you said that, because here's the thing. Here's the second place people are stuck is that they are doing what they feel they have to do rather than what will create change or move the needle or whatever your situation is.
Well,
and so how I think what you're saying is, could they voice their ideas? Like they're stuck in what they have to do, not what they could feasibly or possibly do. And how do we open the conversation between or among everyone in this space or in the company, or how do we get that voice going? I think that is how we get unstuck from that place of where everybody's doing what they feel. And that's the thing, right? That's the mind part, what they feel they have to do, rather than what really the ideas that they have and the voice that they have that would move things along faster and better.
We've been given this great opportunity, if you think about it, to re-examine how we do everything. And rather than just say, oh, let's just find a coping mechanism, it's really kind of look with new eyes and new vision, and don't be afraid that you may fail, but try different things. So, this is kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity, but a lot of people, of course, don't see it that way. Yeah.
I think that what you're saying is so right on, Howard, that what has happened in a lot of instances over the last 18, 20 months is almost 24 months is that they've been putting band-aids on things, right? But the wound is still there. The thing that needs to be fixed, it's the band-aid eventually falls off. in the shower or with wear and tear or whatever. And then the problem is still there. The scar is still there. The scab is still there. The bleeder is still there, whatever it is. And so they're not taking it. We need to take advantage of the opportunity, yes, for growth that we have and change that we have without being that voice. It's like, well, this is how we used to do it. This is how we always did it. This is, you know,
No, it's one of those the electrical storm that's going on in Colorado.
Right.
So,
Well, I as she's getting back on, I would say that my company's been dealing with this immediately. There's some stuff that has changed that's completely out of our control. Things that have changed relative to the industry, the government, federal changes. And now we have to completely transform and get unstuck, as we say, with our traditional paradigms and really think about how we're going to reinvent ourselves. And I think one of the things that we've been doing, and I know I say this all the time, it's 100% transparency. So, you know, yeah, we've had to maybe halt some of our business operations right now, but at least our employees know that we're 100% honest. We always are transparent. We tell them what's going on. We get their input. We ask for advice from all levels of our staff about how we can move forward. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing in my company. And I would say from my corporate setting, back to what Julie was talking about, I felt like a lot of executives are always stuck in their own paradigm about how they operate and how they move forward and what they need to be doing and what their job was, not really setting back and listening to the other executives at the table that ran different aspects of the operation about how to move forward to get unstuck in that operation and change as they needed to. So I think that's a really important point.
I totally
that's
agree.
a great point, Shar. And while I think the pandemic has taught us a lot about technology and really upskilling ourselves in terms of a lot of digital abilities, I think we're also losing a little bit of sight in terms of the human element. So I think what you said is very important. And the recent most case that comes to mind is that of the CEO who resorted to a very, very efficient way of firing 900 people over a 3-minute Zoom call. But damage they did to their own organization is pretty much irreparable. So the employer brand is as good as dead. Some of their C-suite executives quit in protest, and now the CEO has also taken a long leave of absence, probably because the investors are the ones who are feeling the heat and they've told them to do that. So while use of technology, fantastic idea, but losing sight of the humanity and the human element in there, I think what you profess, HR with a heart, completely missing in that scenario, right?
Well, yes, and I would agree. I kind of wonder in that scenario, you talk about the 900 employees that were laid off in that one Zoom call. I'm kind of curious how transparent they were through the operations of the business, where their financial struggles were, what was happening. I'm a little teeny company. We've been talking about it every single meeting we have. We talk about exactly where we're at. So when we had to stop operations on an interim moment, I did feel really bad, but at least everyone knew. I mean, there was nothing hidden. There's nothing secret about it. And so now we're asking our employees to be supportive and like, how can we pivot and change, and what do we need to do differently? As Julie says, getting unstuck and moving kind of into a new direction. And it's not just the executives that are making those decisions. And we're not necessarily hiding. Like, you know, if you have an idea, a connection, a perspective, even though we are kind of going through a midst of change, call us. I mean, that executive that just blasted that out on a Zoom call, not a good idea.
Definitely not. And again, what you're saying in terms of listening and things just being as simple as picking up the phone and calling or being available for a call, I think these are important things. And on the positive side, very exciting news when a CHRO of an organization becomes the CEO of another. So I'm talking about the ex-CHRO of Unilever, who has just become the CEO of Chanel. So
wow,
They're not French. They're not French speaking. They've not been in a traditional so-called business role, but being, I mean, one, understanding the business. Second, understanding people. I think it just kind of underlines the fact that in today's world, one of the best ways to come unstuck probably is to have a handle on what people require and to be able to give it to them.
Hey, Sumit, I have an idea. Maybe executives will get unstuck if they listen to their CHRO.
There you go, Shar.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, back online.
Yeah.
I am. Our internet went out. We had a humongous gust of wind right when I said you guys the wind. So sorry. Now
Hey, Julie,
I just came on. Yeah, I just came back on my
we have
phone.
no problem talking, you know, so you don't have to worry about it. We didn't sit in dead silence. Welcome back.
I didn't figure that you were, but I just took my phone off Wi-Fi, and we're gonna try it this way. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Technology, what we were just talking about, right?
We're seeing agility in action right here. So resilience.
This is live, you know, we don't.
And coming unstuck.
So we've been talking about, Julie, as far as just how the climate has changed, and I think that there's a time for all of us professionally as we're charging hard through the end of the year and trying to get things wrapped up and getting ready for family time and the holidays and so forth. But there needs to be a time for us to think more strategically, self-assess and prepare for the new year, right? So how do you typically advise your clients on preparing for that?
That is a really good question. And can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure everything's good. Okay. So this is a really good question, and something that I have my clients do every December, whether they're just starting with me or just I have a group starting and a group finishing. And one of the big principles that I teach is in the principle of taking more control is called plan, do, review. So we make the plan, we execute the plan as best we can, and then we have to review. And so what you're talking about, Sam, is that review section. And I think it's really important, number one, to assess all along the year, but at the end of the year, number one, I think go back to your goals and see where you are in relation to them. And is there anything that you could have done differently to reach them or to exceed them? Is there anything that you didn't, like for me, I did two 5-day master classes this year and totally free. And I'm assessed, and they went awesome. I just didn't have as many people in them as I wanted, and I didn't have as much conversion as I wanted. So I'm looking at how am I going to adapt that for next year? I'm going to change it, like people dropped off after Wednesday. So I need to do a 3, we have to look at what can we do differently in order to get the results that we want or surpass the results that we want. The second thing that we have to do is, I think it's so important to go back and name our successes from the year. Because so many times we're not giving ourselves any grace, and we're looking at what went wrong, what we didn't meet our goal, we didn't this, we didn't that, we didn't grow like we wanted, or whatever it might have been. We didn't hire the people that we wanted. I have a client who went through probably 4 different assistants this year. I have one who's trying to get staff, and it's just been really difficult to find the right staff, and so what can she do differently in order to get that? But they're so focused on what's, again, problem. What the problem is that they're not always focused on how to do it differently for the solution. But at the end of this year, and at the end of any big project or anything else, I think it's so important for us to name our successes, because even in the failures, we have success. Right?
Yeah, it's a good point. And so in having that reflection, and then also think that it's important to also think about gratitude, right? Those people, recognizing those people that helped us on the way, because I know what happens to me. My wife is the brunt of this, takes the brunt of this most of the time. When I'm charging hard and forward and I'm trying to get things done, she's helping me, and I have other people in my team that are helping me along the way. And I think that it's just so important for us to recognize those that are supporting us and that we can lean on from time to time to get us through the tough spots.
That's a
Yes.
whole nother topic of conversation, right? You know,
It is.
managers have such a hard time just recognizing people and saying thank you. It's the easiest, way of giving people recognition.
That's right. That's right. So,
And it's so appreciated, and it causes so much. It changes the whole culture of the company, right, and of the supporting cast and crew, and it will make everyone better. That piece of gratitude, also that piece. And I think within the successes come the gratitudes, and they don't even necessarily have to be related. They can be separate. And I think you're exactly right, Sam. If you trying to see if I have one here on my desk. I have a so I have a daily productivity journal that I created. And so you have your daily plan, but then on this side, the first thing is gratitude, and then any notes from the day, and then at the bottom is successes. So it's all together.
That's great. Yeah, and those are the types of things that keep us motivated and keeping us in a right mindset, right? I think that's half the battle is just making sure that we are in that growth mindset and are positive and are moving forward and so forth. So that's a great tool that you just shared there as far as reflecting on that every day.
Yeah.
And Julie, I took your workshop multiple years ago.
A long time. It's way different than that now, Shar, but yes.
I love it. I can already tell it's transformed. I love it. It's awesome. It was like the first time I started doing your journaling, actually kind of introduced me to that whole concept when I took your workshop. Phenomenal. So it's great that you've even upsell, done more with it, because it's so important. I think it's really important every day to have gratitude. I think a lot of times we get stuck in the fact that, oh, I failed on this today, or my company didn't hit this objective, or we didn't get this accomplished today. And we get, the next day, then we feel defeated, right? So I think every night having that attitude of accomplishment, and then really focusing on the goal. I mean, even if it's just like, I think I recall in your workshop that I took multiple years ago, you said really defining it down to at least 3. I mean, don't make it so complicated. Don't have 20 goals in a day. I mean, have it down, try to get to your top 1 or 2, 3 goals, right?
Yes. Yeah. That are going to move you forward, and that'll make you accomplished something at the end of the day. And I think as far as the successes go, it takes us into the next year, the next day, the next quarter, whatever it is. And we're talking end of the year now. Like, let's look at the year in review. We have to look back at where we've come, not as this is how things used to be, but this is what were my successes. This is what I'm so proud of this year, because it makes us want to keep going and feel excited about and impassioned about continuing to do the work that we're going to do.
Right. And I would also say, now let's take this from an employee point of view. I think my company really focuses on positive psychology and positive coaching. It's not about negative coaching. It's not about, well, you didn't hit XYZ goals. I think we always talk about what are the things that you were successful with? What are the things that you can contribute to in a positive way? And that's why I love the TMA method, and why Andre's on the line here, because it's all about positive psychology and what are your drives, your talents, and your ambitions that can really contribute to the company. And how can we give you positive feedback about areas that you are very good at, and what can we do to help you achieve those goals into the new year? And it's a very different aspect of performance management. So for those of you that are HR people on the line here, I think that we have to break the mold of traditional performance management. And what Julie is talking about is something very different about how we coach our leaders and our employees about moving forward in a very positive coaching way.
Yeah.
I like what's going on in the chat here. I mean, a lot of great comments. I mean, we have Andre that's saying that gratitude is a strong signal of inclusion. Totally agree there. And then the others that Daniel and David are talking about. So there's, of course, to be able to, knowing our goals, or those OKRs is one thing. and then we need to have the intelligence, or the IQ is very important in being able to be competent in our work. But if you lack the EQ, or the being able to bring that into action, that emotional, the emotional intelligence, and to bring that in action, that's what's really needed today. That humanism that Sumit was talking about. Do you agree, Julie?
I do agree with that. I didn't hear what Sumit was saying because that was when I was, when I was scrambling around over here. But yes, Andre, what you're saying is totally right. What happens then is people feel seen, and I think that there is nothing more powerful than someone feeling seen as far as satisfaction and wanting to continue to do good work. And I think that there is a profound amount of trust in an organization that happens when people feel acknowledged, no matter how small it is. And when I was teaching, I put into place for our faculty meetings, I was like, people need to be recognized for what they're doing. We're sitting here and it's drudgery, and it's just like, we need to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do this instead of, and so I was like, you know what, I just think we should have a kudos award or box or something. And so we started this thing where at least 3 people every meeting had a kudos. And so that people were being recognized for the work they were doing, because we're all, I think it's the same in a company. You're in different departments, you're in different places, and not all people see all things. And so to give that kudos, and those acts of kindness would, it just changes everyone's perspective. It changes the desire to be present and to do your job well, or to be innovative about how you're going about things.
Great point. That's a great tool. Now, I want to bring up one thing that I heard Char mention just a moment ago, that when she attended your workshop, she got into journaling. And I bring this up because my daughter goes through, I don't know how many notebooks a month. And it's like, it's so easy to buy her a Christmas gift or a birthday gift because she wants to journal. So tell us about how journaling can really help you get clarity here.
Well, journaling is super powerful, and my productivity journal is a simple way to do it. It's really about the plan, do, review. It's really about, and if you want to simplify it as simple as can be, this thing is really about 3 gratitudes, notes. I have a section on the opposite page that's like awesome stuff. So as things happen during the day, like you had a really great phone call, or you got an unexpected note, or my husband went to the grocery store for me, or, whatever it might be, awesome stuff. And then, which isn't necessarily, it could be gratitudes, but it's during the day. Like in the morning, you come from this space of gratitude, which helps you wake up and be positive and want to attack the day. But then the awesome things that happen during the day are the things that we often forget. So I have a place to write those down. And then I have a place for notes, but then at the end of the day, those successes. So it's an easy, simple, way to plan your day, and then to kind of keep note during the day. Journaling itself, I tend to journal. I've had people tell me that I should be journaling my entire journey, what's hard, what's good, all of those things. I'm not a huge journaler like that. I tend to journal when stuff is on my mind, and I just there's a lot of power in working it out. I find that taking a walk or doing something like that and just being with my thoughts is more powerful for me. But, a lot of people wake up each morning and they are journaling. That's their meditation. That's their gratitude. That's how they are really prepping their mind for the day rather than hitting the ground running, which I think we've had conversations about this on People's Strategies Forum before, about not hitting the ground running. Like you have to have a plan. And so, but the power of just seeing things on paper is so powerful, and it gets you out of your head.
Yes, and I would say I started doing all this kind of thing when Julie had that workshop, by the way, just so you know. I would also say, wouldn't it be a great little holiday gift to give your employees a simple journal to kick off their new year? and then do it in a very positive way so that your employees could really think about a very positive approach to what they accomplished, to what they need to proceed with, what they need to be coached on. And then I would say from an employer point of view that if a manager could say, let's pull out your journal and really talk about what you're proud of, what you're working on, how can I support you, how can I break down the barriers to your success, what kind of tools and resources I can provide you to help you with your goals and accomplishments. Wouldn't that be an amazing way to coach and support your leaders and your employees in a very positive way? And so I'm telling you, it's a very different mindset that I think traditional HR does.
Yeah.
So your tools, Julie, are awesome for that type of approach.
That's a great point, and a really interesting thing you brought there, Shar, as far as being prepared for those one-on-one discussions with your manager. I mean, how many times have people just shown up and for those discussions? But you're talking about really making it purposeful, planning ahead, thinking about the people that have helped supported you. Think about some of those barriers that you're facing, and work through it with your manager for higher productivity. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, and it's not about saying that you didn't achieve this this achievement or this achievement. It's about what's positive. I'm sorry, Julie, what were you saying?
No, I love what you're saying. It is about what's possible. What I love that you're talking about, Shar, is keeping a work journal, really. And
yeah.
What are your gratitudes and successes? What are your roadblocks within the construct of your job or your business or your position or whatever it is? And it sparks you're right. It sparks a whole different conversation than just a quarterly review of all the things you haven't done.
Yes, because usually our employees really dread that performance management dialogue, right? They hate performance evaluations. They hate doing a self-appraisal themselves for the performance evaluation. They know they're only going to get a 2 to 3% increase, maybe even not even that. I would say if you do this positive journaling throughout the year, really keep it on a very positive light. If you use tools like what we do with our kind of an assessment around your personality, your drives, your talents, your ambitions, and then use that in a very positive coaching way. I would tell you my employees have really thrived with that approach and have really helped our company thrive this past year. Now, we are going through a little hiccup due to regulatory changes, but I mean, my employees have said that they love the fact that we listen to them differently than we would have in any other employment model. So yeah, I think it's a real magic.
I know, yeah, you're a strong practitioner in the TMA method, Shar. I know that you're doing those self-assessments and strong communication among the team and so forth. So, yeah, I'm glad that model is really working well for you there. So
yeah,
it
is, and I also think, though, I think what Julie brings to the table is it's also not only that to kick it off with your HR and your OD and your leaders, but I also think it's about how you document that through the year. So having a journal that you can provide your employees in a very positive way, Julie, I think that's going to be real key. I think an employee really feels empowered because they own it. They own what they're documenting and what they want to share with their leader. I mean, how many of us have gone to our vice president or a leader or a manager, dreaded the conversation, and really didn't even know what was going to be talked about, right?
Yeah.
This is a well-prepared model where both the leader and the employee can come together and really share together how to be successful.
I think that's key because, I think that when we're talking about getting unstuck, I mean, this is not a burden we have to do on our own. I mean, we can leverage those people around us, those people that are supporting us.
Absolutely.
How many times in your corporate career has someone more senior said, "Oh, we need to get together and talk"? And it's like, about what? They don't tell you anything. So where does your mind race and walking into this meeting expecting who knows
and
what?
And they tell you, we're going to talk a week and a half from now. So you get to dread for a week and a half for next Wednesday and worry about what your boss is going to tell you.
It's awful. It's truly awful.
For sure.
It's dreadful.
So
Yeah.
Julie, I know we're coming up towards the top of the hour here, but I'd love to hear if there some other types of tools and so forth you can tell us about the workshop, what your workshop goes through.
Here's what I first of all, if anyone out there is wanting, more information about or access to the daily journal, just contact me, Julie at juliemillerdavis.com, which you will have that information, or just message me through LinkedIn or wherever. We can have a conversation about that. But the other thing I think, Sam, that's so important is having just one more thing here, that because we really haven't talked about my system of getting unstuck. We've had some really good conversations of what we can do, how to think differently about where we're stuck, why we're stuck. But I'd really like to talk about having a common language among the people in the organization in order to become solution oriented, problem solvers instead of problem oriented. And it comes down to, I may have talked about this in a past people strategies forum, but it comes down to the three questions, which number one is identifying the problem, which is different than complaining, right? We're going to name the problem. The second thing is to ask what part you're playing, because you can only control you. So what part are you playing in the situation? And the third question is the power question, which is what can we do differently? Now we step into solution. We step out of emotion, of frustration and all the things that we might be feeling around something, and into solution. What can we do differently? And that comes a large way about what Shar's even saying about how to have these conversations with employees around their work journal and their successes and what is blocking them, and how can we work together to change things. So it's opening up a whole different way of thinking, and into the word that Shar used earlier is one I use a lot, which is possibility. Instead of being up against this wall and trying to break through it again and again and again and again and getting the same result, which is nothing or nowhere, how do we step back and really look at a gamut of solutions just by saying, what part am I playing and what can I do differently? And then ultimately, what can we do differently?
Great points. Thank
Perfect.
you so much. Thank you so much, Julie. So I know as we're coming towards the top of the hour, I just want to acknowledge our sponsor for one moment. As we've spoken about the TMA method several times, I mean, a TMA method is a way for your company and to get to know your people better. It's a quick assessment you can send out where your people can fill this out, and it really tells a little bit about their talents and their drives, what they really are looking for in work. And so it can be a great communication tool. And I know that Shar uses this in her business and many companies across the globe. So if you'd like a free assessment, reach out to me and I can send that to you. And it's really interesting to see how your particular spectrum of drives and talents.
I just want to say, business leaders, you can use this in all aspects of hiring, onboarding, training, coaching, developing, and even succession management, as well as even offboarding employees. It can be used in all aspects. It's very easy to use. My company's figured out the magic of this, and I think it's amazing. It's an amazing tool, very easy to use, and it's all at your fingertips. There's even apps that you can use every day. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Shar. And also, just to let you know who the next week's speaker is, that's me. We're getting into the holiday season. Yes, we're going to talk about. Yes, we're going to talk about refining your employee value proposition for 2020. And so, as those that are longtime listeners on the forum here, we talk about the workforce experience, and there's a lot of things involved in that. And so next week we're going to talk about how we can refine that workforce experience in this new environment, so that you're going to be successful in 2020. Those different factors that we need to go through. So please join us, and we'll dive into a great conversation there. All right. So as we wrap up here, Julie, can you tell us a little bit more about how people can? I think that Jules, you mentioned there was Julie, yeah, free. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I have a free, I have a free gift for all of you, which is juliemillerdavis.com/5 tips. Anybody can go in and grab that downloadable. It's really about 5 tips on how to get more out of every day, more productivity, and really set yourself up for success in a day. So that's what that is. But every single month on the fourth Monday of the month, I have something called Power Up Your Productivity to get you ready for the upcoming month. And it's a live Q&A. If there aren't any questions, I just train for about 15-20 minutes. If there are questions, we'll go for 30. It's never more than 30 minutes. It's at 9:30 in the morning Mountain Time, the 4th Monday every month. If you go to juliemillerdavis.com and just scroll down right to the second section of that page, Power Up Your Productivity is right there, and you can just register and you'll get the Zoom link of how to come in live with me, or there are recordings of it on my website every month.
Wow, that's
Awesome.
nice. What a great benefit. Perfect.
Great. I'm going to look at it, Julie. I haven't seen that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next one is on December 27th. So everyone's kind of taking a break. It might be a really good week to come in and hang out with me for 30 minutes.
Yeah, you're middle of the holiday week. And also, Julie, we're going to invite you back. So I hope you come back and join us again.
Thanks, Char. Always happy to be here.
Yes, it's been such a pleasure. Well, you have a wonderful week, and everyone, we'll see you on next week's People Strategy Forum.
Let's go into today with some gratitude.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Everyone. Thank you.